Hi everyone, I am here with Shaguita.
That's me.
And this is our next episode of RadFEM Media's video blog, which I've lost count of the numbers even though there are so few of them because sometimes I suck.
Happens to me too.
So you are a radio personality, eh?
I'm a radio personality. Well, technically I'm a podcast personality, although I do appear on the radio too.
Awesome. Where did you start radio?
I started radio in my closet.
Awesome. And then when you came out of the closet?
I continued recording in my closet. It's very ironic.
So what is your podcast about?
My podcast was called Let's Be Honest Podcast, and it's about lesbian rights, culture, visibility around the world. Sometimes it's also about my own travels. I sort of insert my own narrative into the situation, take my listeners with me as I explore the mean, cold streets.
Awesome. So what I wanted to ask is, are there countries where it's easier to be a woman when you visit than others?
I would definitely say so. I think I haven't been to, it's all so very, there are such varying levels of expressions of patriarchy. Mm-hmm. And, I've had some, I had a super shitty experience in Czech Republic, but I also don't want to do this thing where I'm taking one of my experiences and generalizing it as though that were the case.
Yeah.
I have directly experienced quite minimal issues while I'm traveling, even though I could have been in danger multiple times, but happened to be around the right people.
Wow. How does lesbianism interact with the patriarchy in your interviews?
That's an interesting question because, I do focus on the ladies. So actually, while I'm traveling these days, as opposed to prior travels I've done, I specifically seek out lesbians, which barely even requires me to interact with men, usually. The weird experience that I did have, which happened to be in Czech Republic, was I was at a gay bar, and there was a super incredibly straight acting aggressive man as the bouncer. Yeah. And I was very confused as to why this very straight man was bouncing at a very gay club and why he was being very aggressive to me and my female friends. He was really talking down on us as though we were filth, and he became physically, he put me in a position where I realized if he wanted to cause me physical harm, he could have done it in a second.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's intense.
But usually I don't have to interact with lots of men except for in the streets, at the store. I specifically want to talk to women. When I was traveling before my podcast days, I've done a lot of hitchhiking, and I successfully hopped one freight train, which I'm very proud of. And I was traveling with a friend who was a woman as well. And what we ended up finding is that sometimes these subtle forms of discrimination or these notions that women are helpless can work in our favor, because lots of men actually wanted to protect us to make sure that the bad guy didn't pick us up. It was actually really sweet in a way, they wanted to get us food, and we were specifically told, it's a dangerous world out there. I wanted to make sure that you're in my truck and not someone else's. Yeah. But my boob was once grabbed by a truck driver while we were on the road, and I got very scared.
Yeah, that is terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So to take things in kind of an entirely different direction, so you have a podcast that's an online forum.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that you have online feedback.
Yeah.
In that sphere, do you get a lot of male trolling, or for example, sometimes people will find me on Facebook and then write lewd messages to me,
yes.
particularly men.
Well, on SoundCloud, I constantly get these my ass is all yours, or these super sexual messages, but it's always deleted before I can read them.
Yeah.
But once on Facebook, I got this guy. His name, he seems to have been a man because his name was Muhammad on his profile, but yet he was trying to friend only lesbians. And he spoke very minimal English, so he liked my page, and then he put on my wall, I want friend, only lesbian, only you. I looked at his page, and there were a bunch of hypersexual pictures of women kissing and just women being super sexual together. And the creepiest, grossest thing was there was even a picture of a cow's nipple with a baby. It was so nasty. So I think he was actually very disturbed and disgusting, and he would love all my posts. And I wrote him, I dedicated a post to him about people over-sexualizing lesbians, and he claimed to not understand, but then I found out how to block him, so.
Yeah. What I find interesting about that is that nobody ever over-sexualizes gay men, right? Like, it's very clearly a trope left over from the patriarchy, this like thing where we glorify masculinity to the extent that any man that doesn't appropriate his masculine role is looked down upon. And so it's like, I think that contributes to the hypersexualization of lesbian sex.
Do you think gay men are not sexualized? Because this is a very like
I don't think it's in the same way, right? I mean, maybe it's just that women don't feel comfortable expressing their sexuality, even straight women, and so it's not something that's talked about. Women in general don't discuss their porn habits. So I mean, maybe it's just that it's not discussed, but I feel like a lot of media, especially lesbian media, is made with the male gaze in mind. And for those who don't know what the male gaze is, that's an art history term referring to the fact that a lot of media is made with the idea that the prioritied viewer will be a man.
Yeah, I'm actually about to release my first episode, which contains a little bit of, I wouldn't quite say pornographic, but definitely very sexual content at one point. My voice gets very sexy, and I'm like sort of not reenacting, but I'm taking it to that level. Yeah. And the thought of, you know, some straight man listening to it, jerking off about it, I don't like that idea. That's definitely not why I'm doing it, but, you know, my episodes that get the most listens, there's this one, it was actually the first episode I did when a lesbian goes to the sex store for the first time, and I'm exploring all these sex toys, and it's actually a pretty silly episode, but I think just the fact that lesbian and sex are within the title brings a lot of attention. And I don't know how many of the people who listened were men, but I wouldn't be surprised if lots of them were.
Yeah. Actually, I was sitting next to a man at improv night here in Montreal, where I live, and I was telling him about our video blog, and he took a look and he was like, oh, well, you know, if you want to get more hits, the best way to do it is to make your thumbnail the image where you and your girlfriend in the Xena Reboot episode are kissing, right? So it was like automatically, and this is like a straight man, clearly, automatically his first thought was, oh, well, the way to make something popularized is to sexualize it.
Yep. I mean, I actually did an episode recently in which I decided that I had become a top. And then within the episode, my friends, who are clearly very anti-patriarchy, as am I, but together we discuss the fact that the notion of top bottom is very patriarchal in nature. So I was sort of like adapting some sort of idea that, like, in order for me to be assertive and to not be a wimp in the bedroom, I need to, you know, rawr, I'm on the top now. I'm not just not just a power bottom anymore. New term.
Power bottom, I like that.
Yeah, you know.
Copyright La Shaguita.
Yes, thank you. And yeah, so I think sometimes we can even internalize these things that we are against, and that can only limit us, because I do like to get on the top more now than before. Being on the bottom's good too. It's an interesting perspective, because we do not try and conform to patriarchal roles on purpose, obviously, because our target audience when we're looking for mates is women. It's not men. But at the same time, the older I get, the more I realize how much I've appropriated heterosexual dating patterns, which are really, really tied to the patriarchy. So that's interesting to hear that somebody else found that too. I have dated a few girls, and I really try to watch my speech, or I don't quite know how to word some things, because I have dated a few girls that either in the bedroom or in their dating habits remind me so much of a traditional notion of men, you know, like a girl who wants to pay for everything, or someone who in the bedroom does want to always be on top and be the aggressor. See, it's hard to find a language sometimes for these things that happen, because I don't want to say, oh, this girl's masculine because she's doing that, but yet I am equating masculinity with this notion of like paying
for everything and being on top.
Yeah.
La Shaguita, tell us, how can we find you on the internet everywhere and listen to your podcast?
You can
all
go
the time.
Well,
and subscribe and rate you on iTunes.
You
and
know,
all of those things.
The most important thing is for you to find me on iTunes and to write a comment and give me a rate, just like you said, because that way through their system more people can actually find out about my podcast. You can find my iTunes by going to, I'm sorry, it's a long name, long story, thelesbihonestproject.com. That's thelesbihonestproject.com. And that has my link to, you know, Instagram, Facebook, my actual blog itself, and iTunes.
Awesome. Like and rate my friend here because she's awesome. Thank you for coming on my video blog.
Thanks for having me.